military isn't a woke experiment, right? To qualify to be in the military is a test of strength and discipline. And for the longest time, women were getting slightly a little bit of a pass. So if you wanted to be a Marine, men needed to do at minimum 3 pull-ups or 34 push-ups in 2 minutes. Women only had to do 1 pull-up or 15 push-ups. Men had to run 1.5 miles in 13 minutes, not that fast, while females were given 15 minutes. Well, Secretary Hegseth says enough is enough when it comes to lowering standards. And remember, they were lowering standards to be more inclusive. And so what is he doing now? He's now ordering the military to come up with one standard for both sexes.
I'll show you one thing. It's a new memorandum that's coming out today on combat arms standards. You see, for far too long, we allowed standards to slip, and different standards for men and women in combat arms MOSs and jobs. That's not acceptable.
Joining me now, Tim Kennedy, former Army Special Forces, sniper and former UFC fighter. Tim, thank you for joining us. Why does this matter, what Hegseth is asking for?
Well, I mean, American lives matter. The legacy and survival of our country, our republic, those things matter. And when you are having 2 different standards for our warriors going into war, it's idiotic. It's going to get Americans killed, and it's ultimately going to lead to the demise of the most important country that's ever existed in our species' existence. I'm
privileged to know many former special ops men, mostly men, and they love their, all of the men and women in uniform that they've worked for and work with. But you could tell it doesn't sit well with people who make it, and then they see others make it with standards that are obviously lowered. So I'm not sure if it's as much of a morale thing as just a fairness thing, and then of course concern if the you-know-what hits the fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's a meritocracy. It's merit-based everything. When the only metric of measurement is lethality, your ability to do your job. I've existed in 2 different arenas, literally and figuratively. One as a Green Beret on the battlefield, and the other as a fighter in the UFC. And in both of those, obviously, we have very clear standards of what it means to be successful in these very violent arenas. And the thought that we're going to have different standards for somebody to ultimately have what is going to be the same outcome, which is death and mayhem and pain. It's the success of our country. It's us winning a war and preventing the next war. And to have different standards is just it's beyond dangerous, because it's intellectually dishonest, because they're just playing games with Americans' lives, and that's beyond cruel. It's time for us to say enough is enough. Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense, and the President has said it's clear. If you're in combat arms, and I 100% support this, if you're in combat arms, there's one standard. You can do the job or you can't do the job. This is not the place to play games.
If you're a drone operator, however, why would it matter?
It shouldn't matter, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about cooks. We're not talking about somebody pushing pencils. We're talking about people that are going to be infantry, that are going to be riflemen, that are going to be special forces, that are going to be Navy SEALs, that are going to be going to Ranger School. The fact that there have been 2 standards is dangerous, and it has built resentment, and it has built the military only sees that we see no shades. We see of color, of skin color, of religion, of gender. We see your ability to do a job. We see 2 things. You can do it or you can't do it. You contribute to the task, or you contribute to the team, or you're a liability. And we have to start winning our wars. No more of this.
Tim, as always, thank you very much. Great to see you tonight. And coming